everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. Jack, how you doing, man?
I'm good, especially after that amazing Elimination Chamber pay-per-view other night, man.
I saw the
That
highlights. I saw the
that
highlights.
was because I forgot it was coming on, and
Mhm.
then of course Twitter being Twitter, people got to post immediately. So like the part that I saw, I'm thinking is later. That was like the first 5 minutes. I was like, dang, y'all don't waste no
Oh,
time
the stuff with
with
Jade.
Jade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
was
that
so they made the women's elimination match the
yeah
start of the show, and then the men's was at the end.
at the
So
end. So that seeing that I to me that was take my hat off. Applause to Triple H, bro. Like to that storyline, I think that's getting ready to be set up. It can be amazing. Like I had to sit down and explain that to my wife because she was like, "Why are you so hyped?" I'm like, "Look, this is how I thought it was gonna go, but now
yeah,
this is like because I thought this was gonna go completely different." I
we're
always
getting that
thought,
Bianca heel turn.
well, see, I always thought she was going to go at Naomi already, and the
Yeah,
reason why I thought that was because I didn't know Liv and Raquel were going to beat them for the title. I
yeah,
thought she was going to come back and was like, okay, you took my spot. I want my spot back.
yeah.
And it was going to cause some rift that way. I didn't think it was going to be this, like not even close.
I kind of got the hint of that when because I'm like it was an obvious fake out. I'm sorry, but I watch way too much stuff. So like when they showed the footage of like Raquel and Liv like walking past when they did
Yeah,
the
yeah,
footage, I'm
yeah, yeah.
like it wasn't them.
It
I'm at
wasn't
that
them.
point. I'm like
No.
it wasn't them.
Mm-mm.
So and I gotta get man, y'all WWE fans, stop hating on Liv. Liv
Yeah,
Morgan she is good.
she doing a
She's
thing. Yeah,
good. So y'all need to stop hating. Look, I didn't like the whole Dom and Rhea. First of all, I
mm-mm.
didn't like that whole Dom Rhea thing anyway because that was
The whole mommy thing.
yeah the way that went down. The way that went down. I'm like, I want y'all to visualize if Dom did that to Rhea, would y'all still like that?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. So they should have never did that. Cut that BS.
Yeah.
But that I'm like, okay, I ain't even okay. But people are hating on Liv, and I'm like, dude, just like when Kofi got the title, you can't
Mm-hmm.
get mad at them for the way they book. They doing the matches, and like Kofi had good matches. It was just
Yeah.
everybody knew Vince ain't want to put that title on him, so that was that. And like with Liv, I'm like, Liv's having bangers.
Oh
Why
yeah.
y'all mad? Like,
She doing
okay,
the thing because I mean, because that's where like when they were showing like her like what all she's achieved.
yeah,
And then like my wife was like, "Dang, is she that good?" I said, "For me
yeah,
personally, wrestling style wise, she's not my favorite, but yeah, she gets busy. Like
yeah.
I got female wrestlers that I'll choose over her, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take away from what she does.
Nah, nah, I gotta give it to her. She got heart. Like
Yeah,
she got heart. Like
she got the juice right
yeah, that's
now.
I got to give it to him. I'm still not back on watching WWE stuff. Cause I just prefer
Mhm.
AEW because AEW just have matches. They actually ain't ashamed to say they a wrestling company.
Right.
So they're not ashamed to say that. And plus a lot more other wrestlers from other companies come in, so I get to see a lot of different
Hmm.
styles. So and that's
Hmm.
why I prefer. I just prefer AEW to WWE. Plus we still got to see because sometimes Triple H some of his booking be like
Yeah, but I have a lot of
so.
faith in him and The Rock. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah, way more so than Vince.
yeah.
Way more so than Vince.
So
So
even though I knew Cena was gonna win,
yeah.
because I already had a picture painted of him taking it from Cody, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah,
I did
they
not
gonna put
expect that.
17 on him. They're gonna
I
put
did not.
17 on him.
I did not expect that heel turn
What,
though.
what was Travis Scott doing?
It made no. He it was so cringe the entire time. I was like, "Why are you here?"
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I get
Like,
it. Sometimes they do like the little guest thing, but
yeah, but
yeah, that didn't make any sense to me.
I was just like, okay,
Mm,
all right, whatever, all
yeah,
right,
I don't know
whatever.
what that was about,
Yeah, so I'm like,
but yeah, other
what?
than that, man, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, people, just to let y'all know, BIPOC Streamer Awards. The nominations are now live, March 1st through the 31st. So get your nominations in. The link is in the description. So click on the link and nominate your favorite, your favorite YouTuber, Twitch person that you want, that you think deserves some shine. So
Hmm.
please make sure you do that. So I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X on my Wii U.
Okay.
just got through chapter 6, bro. I forgot about when Telethy came down and mopped the floor with them sphinxes, bro. I forgot how funny that joke was. They tried to, three of them tried to jump Telethy.
Yeah.
The way Telethy did the Eternal Smackdown. So, yeah, so I've been playing that, and that's pretty much all I've been playing actually.
Okay.
Been trying to get my feel back for it because Xenoblade Chronicles is dropping. The definitive edition is dropping March 20th. So I'm just trying to.
That's right around the corner.
I just please don't make me have to switch back and forth between that to do the map stuff.
I don't know how they're gonna do this.
Please find a way to make it seamless because I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to do that. And the reason why I'm getting is because they got that story, that extra story. I got to play that extra story. And then they added some new characters too. So I'm like, God dang it. Y'all keep, dang it. All right. Fine. So
I'm telling you, it's going to be that game, man. It's going to be.
But I got to give Monolith props. All of their expansions have been fire.
Mm-hmm.
Future Connected, Torn of the Golden Country, and Future Redeemed, even though I still think Torn of the Golden Country is probably the best out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just the best out of all of them. I know people don't like the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 story because for some reason y'all have your own ideas about art.
Right.
Neither here nor there. But I still think that story is probably like one of my favorite.
Right.
That they did. Because that story is like, especially toward the end, when you start seeing like how stuff came together, like this is jacked up,
right?
This is jacked up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles just because I want to see what they added and how it meshes with the overall. Because I think if I had to guess, Monolith is doing something with XCX to. They're doing something with it. That story ain't over.
No, it can't be.
So yeah, I'm actually interested in seeing how this is gonna all turn it because we already finished the stuff from Xenosaga and Xenoblade with our Future Redeemed. They already finished that, so XCX was sitting outside of that anyway. So let's see what they talking about for this one. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. We will be getting into that trailer later on in the show. So just so y'all know. So what you been playing, Jack?
So strange enough, I was just searching around on Reddit and somebody let off this whole list of like forgotten PS2 games. And so it included like God Hand, The Bouncer, The Punisher, and then also Urban Reign. Now, mind you, I remember seeing commercials of Urban Reign when it was coming out, but it's one of those games to where at the time you can't purchase it. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind if you don't ever touch it. So me and my oldest start playing it this weekend. That's a crazy game, bro. Like, like Namco really, like you can see inklings of Tekken within that game, but just seeing how crazy and how set up, because I never expected it to be the type of game that it is to where it's mission based. So it's not like, okay, we're going to go through a story, you run through these levels. No, it's literally like, okay, mission 1, take down all the characters. Mission 2, defeat one character or defeat this character in a certain amount of time. But in the midst of you doing all of that, the first couple of missions are like tutorials to kind of tell you how to play the game and, you know, for you to kind of get used to the system. And it's even got a level up system to where you can like improve your strength, whether you're grappling, your head endurance, lower body endurance, your toughness, and it's got detail to it. And just to see some of the moves you can pull off, because I think one of the craziest moves that happened, there's this boss guy named Jake. You're literally in a cowboy bar. He has on the cowboy shirt, jeans, and boots, and it's a black dude just posted up in the corner, and he's like, okay, you just gotta defeat him. You run up on him immediately. He letting off on you. Now you can in this game you can do counters at any point in time. So, like, if somebody's taking you up for a power bomb, you can combo spin out of that. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. I got him. I figured out what I need to do. I got to give him some distance. I got to do some of my new moves that I got. He pulled one of the craziest moves on me. This is better than Randy Orton's RKOs. I went, jumped up to kick him. He dodges it, picks me up. I do like a spin reversal out, and as I finish my spin, he grabs me and RKOs me, and then I'm done. I said, "You got me." My son's like, "Yo!" he RKO you out of a counter from his move. Like that's like
I hear voices in my head.
I was like, "This is." It took me a hot minute to beat him. Like, because at first he was like Stone Cold stunnering me out of nowhere every time. He would just like stun me, and then I would hit the ground so hard I would do like the rocks type of reaction to
where
it.
He would do a whole. Yeah.
And so with this game, if you get close enough, you'll bounce off the wall, and that will cause damage too. So I hit the floor, bounce off of a table, bounce off of a wall, get up, get dazed, and then he puts me in another stunner. I was like, bro, this. But yeah, so Urban Reign for PS2, that game is nuts. But we're having fun with it. And then also out of Clear Blue Sky, started trying out some like Sega Genesis games. Like I wasn't like a big Genesis person, but I've been trying to figure out like some games I can play that are exclusive because Genesis and Super Nintendo shared majority of their library. It just depends on what you want to play it on or what you had at the time. So I'm going through a couple of those games now. I haven't found one to stay on quite yet. And then the last game that I picked up because it's really floating around quite a bit, like on Reddit and then just in the Android space, and that's Withering Waves? It's the game. Yeah.
Okay.
You could tell like they literally found the engine, found their art style, and they just get in their bag and just keep making those games. You can't blame them. So I mean, so far it's cool. I just didn't care for that freaking 19 gig download. That shit was ridiculous. But it like immediately mapped itself to my Odin, so I didn't have to do any mapping. So I mean, it's cool so far. It's cool so far. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but those are the two rather. I'm still trying to find that Genesis game, but yeah, those are the two that I'm playing right now.
Okay, all right, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I would get into I tried to get in like Genshin Impact and stuff like that. I just because when Genshin Impact first dropped, I got it on my PS4 and I was just like, I'm bored.
Right.
Because it was the same thing over and over again. I think they found a groove with that Honkai Star Rail and then Wuthering Waves and just another one in that genre. I always find it interesting people try to make a RPG MMO anime. I'm like, I don't think that works, but hey, whatever, it is what it is.
Right.
So first thing we'll talk about, y'all saw we had the Pokemon presentation with Ryuki Nishida. And no, we had the Pokemon presentation on Thursday. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, and I don't really mean any kind of disrespect or anything, but like I don't get angry when I see obvious alpha footage, or I don't get angry when I see that. There are a lot of people who are pissed off, and I think I would say I get upset with them, but I can't really get upset with them because we've been conditioned to, oh, look at this trailer. This trailer is so badass, and the game don't even play nothing like that
at all. So
Nintendo's conditioned me to be like, this first trailer we threw out, oh, that's from like 3 years ago.
Right.
By the time you get the game, it's gonna play better, look better, or whatever. Possibly all three of those. So I'm just not angry right now. The things that I did I like the changes to the gameplay because I might actually pick this one up. Because I like the changes to the gameplay. And the other thing too is a lot of people, and Jack, I know you can attest to this because we had to go at it with some people in the comments of the Arceus video. People got mad about us saying, "Hey, Arceus looks cool." Now all of a sudden they want Arceus back. Wait a minute. Time out. Flag on play. I remember there were certain people that I remember them giving us hell
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, I'm like, I didn't expect you to pick up the game, but as we know with Pokemon, with that Pokemon community, they will say they're gonna boycott something and buy 5 copies of the game.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's confusing in that thought process. But I didn't hate it. I'm actually looking forward to learning more about ZA. I like that they kind of kept it to that one area and the zones are confined. I kind of like that idea because that just was funny when we saw in the alleyway somebody getting toe up. I'm
like, we're gonna turn around.
Yep.
Clearly, there's a fight going on in this alleyway,
and I ain't see nothing. So, it was funny because you see like because I forgot what they were who they were showing fight, but you look off to the side in the alley. There's a big bear just slapping. Like whoa, whoa.
Right.
So, somebody get a fight in the alley. All right.
I just at this point, I don't know what people expect from Game Freak and Pokemon Company. So I think Shadow posed a very interesting statement on Twitter. I think it was like today or yesterday. And he was like, when has Game Freak or Pokemon Company ever cared about graphics? So now immediately somebody answered the new Pokemon Snap and Coliseum. And I'm like, no, because if I'm not mistaken, Snap is done by somebody else, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
So that's not Pokemon Company. And then when you look at Coliseum, and I tried to do it in parody with GameCube games at that time. Mm-hmm. No, if you look at it, it's not graphically impressive.
No,
that world is not what it's very bland for a reason. Yeah. Like it's very open, like that Arizona style. Because we were actually watching it on the way back from the Strawberry Festival today, to where they set it in an Arizona type setting. So it's like those Pokemon themselves have never focused on it. Even with Coliseum, they were mentioning today that team that made Coliseum, they've never played Pokemon. That was a team that they poached from PlayStation that made that game. So that still was not Game Freak or Pokemon Company that made Coliseum.
Yeah.
So is one of those things to where if you look at the writing on the wall, their whole thing is centered around story, the lore, the Pokemons themselves, and that's it. Like
the Pokemon are the main characters.
Exactly.
The Pokemon are the main characters.
And there's a reason. And I get it. Like for most people, because like you said, we've been conditioned to expect something from everybody. Mm-hmm. But Pokemon has been the Pokemon Company has been very steadfast in moving along with the trend. Like even with the Switch, they didn't think the Switch was going to be successful, so they held off. So it's one of those things to where they're not going to get into that bag from a graphical standpoint. So I don't know what people look for in this. If the gameplay is good, and like you said, the new battle style, like we got a new battle style in Arceus, and we're getting a new battle style here, and this is something very like alpha style of I was talking about, but is getting there. I don't know if this will ever cross over into mainline, but it's one of those things to where they're changing something up. They could have legitimately just gave you the same damn game and just put it in a different setting, but they didn't. They switched it up.
That's and here's gonna be and I know people gonna probably get mad at me for saying this, but I'm like, bro, if I'm Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, what you expect me to do? Y'all tell me if I'm sitting here and I'm looking at social media and y'all telling me y'all hate this and I need to change this, and this, y'all gonna boycott. But then my sales numbers tell me this is the fastest selling Pokemon of this generation. Why? What am I supposed to do from a business standpoint? Help me understand. What am I supposed to do? Who do I listen to? The people who bought 5 copies, or the people who hiding behind the avatar?
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to who paying me. So the people who paying me clearly say they like this. So y'all that's mad.
Yeah, the people that genuinely invest in me, I mean, across the board, because I even said it when we were getting ready to watch. There were people I had already seen full-blown tears because they were just happy to see what this game looked like. So those are the true fans that come and they do the card games, they do Unite, they do Masters, they do TGC, they do everything.
Yeah, they do everything.
So, like that's the team. And like I'm curious, what Pokemon mobile game are you talking about? Because if you look at any of the Pokemon mobile games, it comes back down to yet another thing Shadow said. We're talking about animations, we're talking about assets, We're talking about everything with these games. It's the same argument that somebody tried to make to me about 2K. Like, oh, well, why does 2K look the way it does on Switch, but the iPad runs it the way it does? The iPad is so gutted that, of course, you would have those extra resources to make it look good because it's not the same game. But when you talk about a Pokemon mobile game, that's not you're not getting a Pokemon mobile game mainline game. Is not going to be on par. It's not, especially when you talk about how many Pokemon, you talk about the scale of what they're trying to do with these games now, you talk about the animations, the move sets, and everything else that comes along with it, plus multiplayer. Like, y'all have to take that into account, because when you look at it from a very surface level of X game can do it, so why can't this game do it? Then you really have to start doing your research and saying, okay, well, what are the big differences? The only comparison I will ever say is fair is Xenoblade. And that's where I'm like, okay, Monolith show their asses when it comes down to stuff like that. So that's where I will say, okay, that is a fair comparison as into what Pokemon Company could do better. But it's one of those things also too of, imagine people getting mad because we don't go to the level of posting every single day. That is your expectation that you're trying to put on us. That's not what we're trying to do, and it's very clear that's not what Pokemon Company's trying to do. They really are not.
And that's why I said, I'm like, it goes back to, look, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is, if you keep saying the quality is down and I'm not purchasing, I'm not doing this, but they just saw that during their sales numbers that people bought it 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times, they're not gonna care, because they're not gonna care what this loud social media thing is gonna say. They're gonna care what the numbers are actually saying.
Exactly.
So my point is this: if you're so mad about the quality, then put your money where your mouth is. But nobody's doing that.
No,
nobody's doing that. Everybody that does that says something winds up, it never ever fails. They will talk about it till the game release. The week that game release, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, all of it's full of doggone Pokemon, and there's no way in the world you're gonna tell me that they're pirating it. They're not. Everybody ain't pirating.
No, they're not. And I'm telling you, they have a diehard fan base, and it's okay that it doesn't include us. We dabble, we dib and dabble into it. That's fine. But and then also too, to RJ's point, like, that's another narrative too. Like, we have to stop pocket watching companies. Like, there are indie companies that can come and show their asses when it comes down to graphical and gameplay, and yet take them longer to do. But it has nothing to do with the money per se. I get it. Yes, you need money for assets and to get stuff done. I'm not oblivious to that. But just because I'm a multi-million-dollar company doesn't mean my product is great. Those have nothing to do with each other. Yes, I have more access to certain assets, but that don't mean that I'm gonna give you a better product. I mean, hell, Ubisoft is showing you that right.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ubisoft is a perfect example.
They're showing you that right now. EA, they're all showing you
for
that.
decades.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, I get people's frustrations, but at the same time, I'm like, you can't be frustrated if when they pull in their numbers at the end of the year, the game sold 10 times more than the previous one. Like I said, we've seen this happen with Arceus. People were pissed with Arceus.
Yeah,
they were pissed, and then guess what happened?
They played it, and now they love it.
Stuff is so much so to the fact that now you got people who are complaining, saying that ZA should be like Arceus,
which really is just
make sense.
Just the evolution of the game, but
we got people mad, and I'm like, I'm sitting here like, bro, I can't blame Game Freak or the Pokemon Company. I'm like, look, if I'm looking at the numbers, I don't care what social media is saying, because social media is a lie.
Yeah,
100%. I don't care what social media is saying. I'm looking at what these numbers are putting in, and I know we made a Switch Lite, we made 2 copies, and some people bought 5.
Yeah, there is a reason why they keep doing the 2 game system.
Yeah,
because they make more money off of it. And like I said, I'm a victim of this too, so I don't want to exclude myself.
Dude,
I'm one that I will go and I will hype a game up, and I may wait for it to go on sale, or I might not even pick it up at all for one reason or another. But ultimately, when it comes down to Pokemon, and matter of fact, this is not even just Pokemon. we look at majority of like those top-notch games of like, let's say, World of Warcraft, the Final Fantasy 14s and things of that nature that require a fan base to stay alive. When you look at those games, sad to say, majority of us here in this chat on this channel, we're not invested like that. There is a crowd that is invested.
Yep.
So when we complain about, well, they should do this and they should do that, we're the minority in that situation, because like you said, if the ones that's rocked with me since day one, they come to the events, they play the card games, they give us feedback, they showcase our stuff, not just because it's brand new, but they continue to showcase it, and they buy everything and they show up to the anime, that's who I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, while there may be people on that side that says, I wish the game looked and ran better, they still showing up and playing it because they loving the content. Because even with Scarlet and Violet, most reviewers that kept going and like reviewing the DLC that was releasing, they were like, man, if only this ran better, but I still love it because the content was amazing. Like the content trumped the performance.
Gameplay.
Yeah.
Gameplay gets you every time.
Every time.
One of my favorite games is 15 frames a second, dude.
That's Ocarina of Time. Yeah. The greatest game of all time.
15 frames a second is one of my favorite games of all time. I play it yearly.
Yeah. You can't.
Favorite
you can't
game of all time, 15 frames a second.
Because the whatchamacallit version, the 3DS version, actually runs better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I don't like
you choose to go to 6. Yeah.
Yeah, because the run they got Link doing where he running like he's sideways. I don't like that.
Right. Uncle what?
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Because why give credit to Jack Daniels, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
I know it's March. I don't care.
But yeah, so, that's where we at, man.
February all year to me.
Shadow, did you have did you get a chance to watch the Pokemon presentation?
No, I did not. But I did watch some of the footage of the new game that's coming, right? So you can see the difference in quality and whatnot.
You love those 64 graphics?
Yeah, so I was hearing the conversation a little bit here before I came in, and obviously y'all got it right, but it's like for whatever reason the internet at large cannot understand it, and the majority of people can't seem to disassociate these two things, and I think that's the problem. You see a game and you immediately identify it with the publisher.
Yeah.
But when the publisher does something wrong, that's their job, you blame the developer. It's the strangest thing to me. And I've never, or even if you don't even blame the developer, you blame the platform holder. Like everybody but who should be responsible for what the publisher does, you then blame somebody else. So if a port's bad on whatever platform you like, we won't even say Nintendo at this point. Let's say Xbox Series S, right? Oh, this port is shit. That means that the Xbox Series S cannot run a game at 1440p. I'm like, Microsoft designed that system specifically to run games for 1440p.
Right.
You need to holler at the publisher who paid for the time of that port. Yep. So and when I say the things that I say, it's not because the first thing that people say is, oh, you just defend Nintendo, blah blah blah. My name is Shadow Fox. My channel is Shadow Fox. It ain't got nothing to do with Nintendo. I'm not Nintendo Prime. I'm not this week in Nintendo. Like no, it's Shadow Fox. I talk about tech and things in general. It's not even. It applies across the board. So if you're gonna say that it's Microsoft's fault for a port team having a hard time because they were only given six months to make a project on the Xbox Series S, and on the Series X, obviously it's not an issue because brute force over whatever the problems are, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around and say, well, they made inferior hardware. I'm like, that Xbox Series S has been an Xbox Series S since 2020.
Yep.
Like everybody knew what that was. And everybody knew what it was designed around, right? Like you don't need more than the amount of RAM it has to do 1440p like per frame. You don't need that. So if anything goes beyond that, it's the game engine and what they added on top of the game engine, which means that the developer or the port team in this case is stuck with the engine that isn't meant for the platform that it's on, because they started on PC first, and those PC targets are not turning into what they need to be on the destination, right? The destination target is not matching. That's when you optimize, and that's when you make that game work on that console. Like, consoles don't run games. People make games for consoles.
Yep, they're supposed to.
They're supposed to. That's the whole point. It's fixed hardware, right?
Yeah.
It's not a PC where you just, just add this other thing to it to fix the problem over time. That's not how it goes. So an entire advantage of having a console is that you know these things up front. So, and this is a roundabout conversation, but I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
So you then blame the person that's not responsible. You either blame Microsoft being the platform holder, or you blame the developer and say the developers don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure these developers do know what they're doing. But they're giving a very tight window, and they don't have enough time. Right. And they're giving something that they didn't make themselves. Right. So you're giving an engine from another studio that made, whatever it was, like say it's The Witcher or whatever, right? And they're like, well, how do we get this on here? Because this was a PC game first, and what they're giving us with this engine, it ain't hitting. So it's going to take us some time. And then the publisher is like, no, it's not. Make it happen because it needs to launch on this day. Right. So they do whatever they can within that window to make it happen, which means they have the talent. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
So who pays for the time? Not the developer. Microsoft definitely shouldn't be paying for the time. I know at some point that was their thing. Money had their way into the industry, but that isn't what's supposed to happen. The publisher is supposed to pay the port house or whatever for however much time it needs to take for that game to work well on that platform. So that way it is not an issue. In addition to that, it's like you're ignoring what Microsoft told you to do, because if you just make things for this container that we gave you, it'll make sure that it works well on both the Series S and the Series X. But you ignored what was in the Xbox SDK and wanted to do things your way, and now you end up with the result that you get. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing that bothers me the most. So bringing that back full circle to what we're talking about with Pokemon, right? Oh, this game don't look the way I want it to look. Number one, which I'm pretty sure y'all touched on. What was the first Pokemon game on? It was on the freaking Game Boy, right?
Yep.
So we're not talking about stellar hardware here. We're talking about you're making a game essentially to sell product later on down the line, because you're making these cutesy characters and whatnot, and you want to be able to market and merchandise off of it. That would be what the Pokemon company is, right? Yeah. Today. They are largely just a merchandising company. They are also the publisher, and that's who should be at fault for paying for the development time, right? Yeah. Them and Game Freak are not the same. Them and Nintendo are not the same. At this point, Nintendo is literally just the platform holder at this point. Not my fault. Look at the Nintendo SDK. Look at the NVIDIA SDK, because they also have other tools. Like if you use the NVIDIA SDK, it should by default give you what you need as far as like what your bare minimums are going to be on the hardware, right? Right. And then you have Game Freak, who, for all intents and purposes, I think they have at this point 3 Switch titles under their belt on paper, I think.
Yeah.
But they're coming straight from 3DS, DS before that, and Game Boy. Any other development that they did for GameCube, Wii, or Wii U, or anything of that nature was in support only for games like Smash Brothers and stuff like that, right? So they're not sitting around making high-end engines all the time. That's not their wheelhouse. That's not what they do. They make this RPG, and that's the only thing that they do, right? Right. They're given enough time by the Pokemon company, who is their publisher, to do whatever they need to do. And was it 2022? I think it was. They put 2 Pokemon games out the same year.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because it was one of them was supposed to have been the year before because of COVID, everything got pushed back. Yeah. So it wound up being, I think, one of them was in January, the other one was in the normal November time. Yeah.
So what that proved us at the time was not only, there's 200 developers on this team, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
yeah, exactly 207, right?
Yeah. So
this team is fairly large, but they still needed help because it's obvious that they work with Monolith for their engine for Arceus, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing that in addition to making 2D Pokemon games at the exact same time. The proof is in the pudding because 2 games launched within the same year when they should have been offset due to different things, COVID or whatever it was for the delay. Yeah. So you got a 3D engine that they were working on, unbeknownst to anybody, under the hood for Arceus for Switch, and 2D games, which are obviously going to do at some point going forward after they were done with 3DS. This is not your typical 1,500 person staff studio that's global around the world like Ubisoft or EA or whatever. Right. This is a local only Japan studio, and they're only targeting 2 platforms and 2 games.
Yep.
I don't know what else you want me to tell you with that. And then, if they have less than a year turnaround time to make a game, it's going to look however it looks. And obviously that's not their focus anyway. Their main thing is what new things, what new systems are we adding to the core gameplay experience? What new characters are we adding? Because the Pokemon company needs new characters because we're doing new merchandising, right? Why are they putting out these games?
We got 2 movies got to come out.
So you got 2 movies got to come out. You got to sell plushies, pillows, whatever.
Cards, all that. Yeah.
It's a Transformer scenario.
And remember, they just made a Snorlax beanie bag.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, y'all wildin'.
So, like, it's just one of those scenarios, man. You got to think what's going on and then go from there. So,
yeah. I mean, that's key because, I mean, even when we talk about the generations, right? They're for 2 years. Yeah. So, while you look at most of these games that people rave and go crazy over, they have a 7-year development cycle. This one's 2 years. Because we've expressed before, there's so much tie-in. I think that's where games like Arceus and ZA get some love because they don't have to be on no cycle for like the anime. So they can do what they want to do. Same thing like when you look at the Mystery Dungeon games, Unite, like they have the time to play with them. So, but when you talk about mainline, people genuinely have to understand, while we sit here and we talk about game development timeframes are getting bigger, Pokemon Company is still working on a 2-year development cycle.
So they're going to use whatever engine they already got.
Right. So in theory, you will get 3 generations before before somebody else gave you another game. Like that's wild.
Yeah. So all I meant to say was it was the first showing of ZA.
Yeah.
It's probably not even gonna stay in that same vein by the time, because it's probably not gonna release till November like they normally do. Because Pokemon, for some reason, they got to go up against Call of Duty just so they can see how many Call of Duty players actually buy Pokemon stuff.
Right.
It happens all the time. So,
but the crazy thing I saw too, some people thought this was Switch 2 footage.
No, it's not. They told you it was Switch. They said
like, wow, we doing this, huh? Like we just being dumb just to be dumb.
I mean, it's gonna be you're gonna be able to play it on your Switch too, but
sure, no doubt.
And even if that's the case, right?
It really don't matter.
Are you saying that's a barometer of things to come? Like
that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
But computer science exists, man. Like what the fuck are we talking about?
Well, the thing is, because like right now, the thing is, people are trying to say that, when PS6 and whatever Microsoft's working on, when they come out in 2 years, they're gonna be so far behind. I'm like, bruh, you don't.
The Wii U stuff again, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. And I'm like, bruh, the funny thing about it is the reason why that stuff happened with the Wii U was because Nintendo did not control the messaging with the Wii U. Yep. They control it with Switch. Even though people try to say they didn't with Switch 2, they do control their messaging. Yep. So you're gonna get that, and you're gonna get games. You're gonna get a crap ton of games. So they know how to work their stuff. That's the thing about Nintendo.
Also, Nintendo did not trust third party out of the gate either.
No.
They're like, Call of Duty's coming. Sure, y'all said it's coming. That's fine. We don't believe.
We don't care. Yeah, we don't care. We'll get it when we get it. Like they're never gonna do that again. Like I said, they really pissed off the wrong one. They pissed off Iwata. Yeah. He was the wrong one to piss off. And they found out the hard way because he did it with a smile on his face.
Shout out to Nintendo Prime's channel. I was listening to a video of his actually earlier today, and he pointed this out, and I'm like, I gotta verify this. There's no fucking way.
I think I know him up.
Yeah, Nintendo has published 12 games a year for 8 years.
Yeah. For
8 years. Every year like you got a solid 12.
Yeah, people act like they didn't. That's why, once again, that's why the Keeley Awards is always hilarious.
So I say again, right? What other first party company is doing that?
You mean the first party company that's actually a first party company?
Yeah, Nintendo's the only one left now at this point, unless are Wonder Swan still sold in Japan?
I don't know.
Bandai Namco, but I don't know if they're still sold in Japan. They're the last first party.
Yeah, right.
But nobody else is doing that. Like
nobody's doing that.
So when you talk about output and you talk about what's going on, like, well, Nintendo's not putting in the effort to make these games and blah blah blah. I'm like, man, you're getting exactly what you need. Yeah. And I'm gonna ask you to look at Microsoft and like they literally have to shit out games this year to make up for 5.
I mean,
5 years.
Look at Microsoft and Sony. Like they don't have first party stuff, not like that. And and the stuff that they do have, their fan base don't buy it.
No.
Especially in the case of Microsoft, it hurts me so bad.
Yeah,
it hurts me so bad. Because Sunset Overdrive was stellar. Everybody should play that game. Yeah. If you hate Xbox, buy Sunset Overdrive. Buy it. You can find the Xbox One for cheap if you don't want a Series X or anything like that. Just buy Sunset Overdrive. Play it.
Yeah,
on PC. Isn't it on Game Pass too?
It's on PC, Game Pass, and on Sony.
Buy Sunset Overdrive. Yeah. Buy a copy.
Yeah.
Buy a copy.
It was at the wrong place,
man.
We know where it would have sold it. It was at the wrong place.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah. I said the same thing with Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah. So whatever it is, what it is. So let's talk about this funny thing. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's funny to me, but it ain't funny. So Fable got delayed again. This time it got delayed into 2026.
What a segue. What a segue.
This article is on purexbox.com. Matter of fact, let me go on and share it out to you so y'all can see it. But yeah, this is on Pure Xbox. So they got delayed until 2026.
When you told me that before we came on, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, not to make this a Nintendo podcast again, but the only 2 major delays I can think of Nintendo doing with Switch was, other than original Breath of the Wild, was Metroid Prime 4. For obvious reasons, they literally started over.
Yeah, they started over, yeah.
And Animal Crossing, I believe, was delayed a couple of months. Because it was supposed to be a November release, and they pushed it to January or February, if I'm not mistaken.
Because they was trying to get it to go with the app.
Yeah.
So, but this one is basically what happened. The reboot got delayed, and I'm guessing they were having some issues with the engine. I'm guessing because they made it seem like they didn't want to say, but they were like, okay, we got some amazing gameplay stuff we want to show you guys, but we had to take it. We had to delay it so it'll be the game that people want. I'm like, okay, bro, this is the second or third time this game's been delayed.
Yeah,
man, it's rough.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
and it was one of the ones that people looking forward to. Like, one of the ones.
And on top of that, the other messed up thing about it is you already had 1 or 2 trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, bro, can we stop with the trailers if y'all? By the time if you had to delay it once, okay, cool, because everybody knows stuff happens.
Right.
Cool, whatever.
Sorry, I don't
understand.
But
the second time that happened,
I don't understand why I got delayed.
Like, bro, come on, man.
So, and you talking about Series X, right? Like, what Tribune just put in the chat. He's like, all this power.
Yeah, all this power. I mean, well, y'all know me. Like, I got upset when the whole Halo Infinite, because like 343 promised all this stuff, and I'm like, how you keep talking about you got this powerful system and it can't do co-op split screen?
Yeah,
I hate it too. Microsoft had a really good plan, right? make a powerful system, right? Then make also another powerful system, but for a lower resolution at half the price. Like that is like an awesome plan, right? Because you get
theory, on paper.
Yeah, you get such a big influx of people that would jump for the 250, right? To get into the Xbox ecosystem. And then you got Game Pass and all that stuff too. So they sign up and then just get games, right? And then if you want to get the higher resolution or whatever, you get the Series X, and then you can it was such a good plan, and it just did not once Microsoft was like, yeah, we ain't got nothing, but here's the studios that we purchased. I'm like, this is not the time. Like the perfect time to strike would have been to launch with 5 of those games ready.
Yep.
From those studios. Like, I mean, you don't come and tell us that the studios that you purchased before you launch this system aren't ready.
Yep.
I mean, Everwild.
That's like, what are we doing? Like, don't even show the Rare logo if the game ain't ready.
If it ain't
don't show the logo or a trailer if the people don't even know what the game is.
They don't even know.
They didn't even know what it was.
That's an all-time low right there. We don't know what it is.
Will be about
what? How do you have a trailer and feel that nobody talk to these people before you said, "Oh, well, we're gonna put y'all on our direct"? Like, no, they should have never been on there.
They was like, "Hey, we just gonna show what we've been working on. We just been playing around in this engine." I'm like, but there's no game, no plot. No, we just need something to show. Like, all right.
And then I'm like, is all this power really all this power? Because Doom Eternal is on Switch.
I would rather.
That's a very good looking game on PC.
Yeah. I would rather it be like what Nintendo does, where they like, look here, like what they did with Tears of the Kingdom. They only showed us the islands and what the stuff could do. By the time you ain't even know nothing about the depths. They did 3 maps, 3 gigantic maps. Because I'm still in the depths.
Show you the ground until it wasn't until it was closer to the reveal.
No,
right? Before they showed you the ground.
Closer.
They showed that after release. That's when they gave us that trailer, the launch trailer.
Oh wow, okay.
That was when they showed the ground because once the game released and people figured out what the depths was, they were like, "Oh snap!" They didn't even tell us about this. Like, no, they didn't.
No,
no, they didn't. I'd rather you do that or than tell me about all the people you done bought, all the studios you done bought that ain't done nothing.
I'd rather not know that you bought somebody.
Yeah.
Don't even tell me.
Yeah. So So goes into another thing that Microsoft talked about, and this is the AI model Muse. Okay, so I did read a little bit about this on Microsoft.com, and I thought about this yet because one, AI ain't gonna be no Skynet situation right now. Our AI ain't like that. But the way the article talks about it is basically using it for, assets, like helping to create assets and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, it depends on how you use it. It is what it is, but like the whole thing with that model, I'm like, okay, I can see how this could actually be helpful to a developer, especially like with Microsoft letting people like do trailers for games they don't know nothing about. So I can actually see that being helpful in that situation. So as far as like the whole Muse thing and what I've read off the Microsoft site itself, I'm like, I'm in a wait and see type deal, because the way I see it is like, if it can be used to help cut down on some of the time that this takes, especially if you already got an established engine that you're working out of, say for instance, like you already have the engine that they use like Ratchet and Clank.
Right.
If you already got that engine and this can help you cut down on time, I don't see the problem in that. Now, when you start talking about like voice acting and all that stuff, that's completely different. But as far as what they were talking about with Muse, I'm like, I can see how that could be beneficial, especially with the length of time these games take to come out.
So I did dig a little bit on that. So basically, what Microsoft is, I hate to say this, but I will admit, I am largely an Apple fanboy for the most part. I do like
Blasphemer.
I think Linux, for the most part, basically everything anti-Windows, really at this point, right? Because I'll
except when you go to work.
I'll do Docker, I'll do anything basically, but I don't want to see that Windows logo if I ain't got to. I mean, this podcast is the reason why I'm using Windows right now. Right?
I mean, hey, dude, you know when you go to work, what it is?
Yeah. I mean, you have to use it at work. There's no excuse.
They'll give you no choice. Microsoft's like, look, man, we're gonna get that money one way or another. You're gonna use
they
one
do
way.
get that money. So what they're doing is they're copying the same implementation that Apple used, right? And they're using OpenAI with their branding on it. So OpenAI is being leveraged with Copilot and Azure, right? So because let's not forget, like the whole point of us having an Xbox post 360 is because Azure exists. Mm-hmm. The goal is for you to be on an Active Directory domain in the cloud. That's all Satya Nadella wants anybody to do, and that's that's the only reason Xbox is still around right now, because he wanted to take it a long time ago.
He wanted to blow them up years ago.
But they pitched Project X Cloud, and he's like, cool, it's the thing that I came from, so I'll take that and not kill everybody's job. So so now it's like, well, we'll use the Azure AI platform, which is based on OpenAI, so you can use Copilot to dictate things in OpenAI, get your results, and then pitch that back out. So behind the scenes, Muse is using OpenAI to sign in with Azure Authenticate and use tools in the background, right? So as you're building your game, you're using Azure deployment basically within your whole studio. Microsoft is going to own your entire development studio. So you say, hey, I want to build a game for Xbox. Oh, okay. Where's your business located? And then you do your thing and they say, hey, so we have a colo, the nearest to you over here. This would be your Azure AI studio. You sign in with your Active Directory Azure domain and you do the things. Then everything you need to deploy is magically there for you as a development studio. Basically, the publisher will pay for this, and then you as a studio, you sign in one time, you see everything you need. You get to see all your demos, you can work your AI models, and it'll give you feedback in real time and say, hey, look, maybe you could do this if you want spatial 3D audio or whatever. Or if you go over here, we can iterate trees in this way to do this. You don't need speed tree anymore. Those kind of things are being pushed to publishers so they can buy this product. But that's effectively what's going to be happening in the background if Microsoft decides to sell Muse to third-party studios. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they plan on doing.
And because from what I got, from what I read, is basically it will cut down on time. So if your game is going to take 7 years to come out, it's going to probably take 2.5 to 3 now. Because once again, if your engine is already established, you should be good.
Yeah,
you should be. Notice I said should because Luminous engine exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, that at least that's what I got from what I read about it. So I mean, it seems like a good idea.
I think it's a great idea for potentially even for an indie studio with a decent wallet. Like say you're an indie studio, right? But
Syndicate or something. Like no.
Like say if you have you only have 2 projects under your belt, right? But you have cash flow because you have market cap, so you can say, hey, look, I need to borrow like $7 million or whatever, so I can pay for these Azure domains and do whatever, blah blah blah, to get started, and you'll receive the return on investment indefinitely because you don't have to worry about paying a port house or a studio with 1,000 people to work on this one thing. You can iterate, on a result like directly in house, and the 7 people you have hired or whatever, you don't have to hire anymore effectively. But you just have to pay that little bit up front to reap the rewards. And now every time you publish a game or whatever, you're splitting that check with 8 people.
And you're good to go. So it is what it is. I kind of wish WB would have did something because this week they closed down a lot of stuff.
Boy.
DCiscursed.com.
Now here's the thing. So there was going to be a Wonder Woman game, and I don't know if y'all remember this, but they was years ago. I remember they had talked about it. I think they did one of those 30-second teasers or whatever, like they did with Wolverine.
Yeah.
and they went ahead and canceled it. Now, my problem with what I read from Push Square, basically the team was trying to make a grand game. Wonder Woman did not need to be grand. It needed to be Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, or Ninja Gaiden, and that's what it needed to be. It needed to be an action game. Not even Spider-Man, because like what they did with Spider-Man, to the point it cost $200 million to make. That's ridiculous.
They made it massively open world, and that became a thing.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman didn't need to be that. Tell your story, make it an action game in the vein of of a Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, or Devil May Cry. Because it's your first Wonder Woman game, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's your first one. Now, if it makes bank, if you sell 50 million copies, then you can start trying to talk about we can make open world Themyscira and all this. You can do that then.
That's kind of what they did with Batman. Like Arkham Asylum, then they did Arkham City.
Yeah, because like Arkham Asylum was what, 10 hours?
Yeah.
It was a short game. It was focused on Arkham Asylum. And then they went bigger, but that's after they sold like what 15 million copies, something like that.
Yeah, but I said give them a taste before you try to feed them the whole meal.
Yeah, like the problem, and I don't think they think, man, because I'm like, bro, everything ain't gotta be open world, big, ridiculous. No, because like if you start, because especially with this generation now, everybody wants the full game to be fully voice acted. That you got to pay all those voice actors. They're not doing this for free. They not. Right. They got mouths to feed too. Then you want it. You don't want midis. You want full orchestrated music. I'm sorry. Have y'all ever been to a symphony? Them tickets cost a lot of money.
Yeah, even then, right? So it doesn't work well in a video game because it's non-interactive. So unless you do something like break things down to like sample per synth, like Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild, it's not gonna sound good.
Yeah, but that's what people claim they want. You have to pay them people. Like that's also. I haven't even started talking about the gameplay yet ever.
Yeah, that's the problem right there.
So
you should have started with the gameplay.
Yeah. So we're talking about all this other stuff, and then God forbid, because now DC is saying, okay, well, we want to do a Wonder Woman movie, we want to do a Wonder Woman anime, we want to do a Wonder Woman cartoon, we want to do all this other stuff. Now you got to try to tie it.
Mm-hmm.
Advertisement.
And I'm all for like planning ahead, but when you're doing too much, and like you said, just sample size it. Like, see if people even want it, because the game can be good and people just don't fool with Wonder Woman. Yeah. Like that's a possibility.
Now, to be fair, Wonder Woman does have a huge comic book following, but that don't mean they're going to be gamers.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is just say, okay, look, I'm seeing what Platinum Studios did with Bayonetta. I see what Team Ninja's done with Ninja Gaiden. I see what Capcom and Clover, before they became Platinum, did with Devil May Cry. I'm going to make a 10-hour game. I'm going to make a 10-hour action game. It's going to be, matter of fact, I ain't even I'll undercut people. Do like NFL 2K5 did, like my Carrie Vision did with 2K5.
Production Studio 4.
Yeah, and just, give them this 10 to 20-hour game. Put in some stuff for replayability. See if it's gonna actually sell. See if people gonna put their money where their mouth is.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. I'll create my engine. I'll make sure I got a stable engine, because most people gonna say Unreal Engine 5. Okay, fine, Unreal Engine 5, whatever.
Right.
Make sure my stuff is stable. But I'm not gonna make nothing. I'm not gonna overblow this, because this is the first game. We want to make sure it can play right. You see, I ain't never made another Superman game after Superman 64 bombed.
That did worse than bomb, my friend.
Yeah.
Now my thing about that is, like, you could do one, and I'm thinking now, like, at this point, the next Superman game should be Steel, and I'm not just saying that from bias, but I'm just saying, just start with the Death of Superman art and make him the first character, and then and it's the whole thing. You're trying to prove yourself, right? Yep. So, like, what better video game plot than to have with somebody trying to prove themselves and them getting progressively stronger throughout the game than the rebirth of Superman characters. All of them needed, like, to come up in some way, shape, or form. So you start with Steel, and then you can do the other three or what have you, and then go from there.
Yeah, that would actually make sense. But Shadow, I don't know if you know this or not. A lot of people don't read comic books. So what you just said was DEI.
You're right. I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah.
Have we learned nothing from Captain America: Brave New World?
Yeah, tells the Kinsera Zhao.
Yeah. You saw how they treated him.
Yeah.
And that man just made a game to help him with his grief. His dad passing, and these lovely people.
Yeah, there we go. Great story. Yeah. It was a great game.
It's a great game, fun game if you would have played it. But they tried to say because somebody from Sweet Baby Inc. had a discussion with him, which he did not deny. He was like, but they did not work on this game.
Yeah. So now you're like, oh well, they're bought by this, and now they're DEI and they're woke. I'm like, do I need to say this on the podcast?
Might as well.
Might as well.
Woke means that
you're being played.
People were experimented on in the 60s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because of the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what woke means. Just knowing that. So if you follow me, go ahead and unfollow me if that triggers you.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bleed followers. That's cool. But I'm saying that. Knowing that exists is what woke means. Mm-hmm. I don't know why y'all let Christopher Ruffalo manipulate y'all. Because he said on Twitter this is what he's trying to do. He bragged in your face and you still fall for it. But anyway, moving right along.
All right. But yeah, I completely agree and I'm gonna say this right now. Some of y'all do not. That's why I believe gatekeepers should exist because a lot of people are jumping on these superhero movies, have not read a piece of lore, don't know nothing about the character. Just they have this idea in their head of what the character is, and they go with that.
Like, do you know why X-Men was created?
Yeah.
Somebody was told no about other. Like, there was no Luke Cage because. So okay, let's create X-Men first. Like, what? Come on, man.
Yeah, but the story with Stan Lee was basically, dude, they wanted to make black characters, they wouldn't let him do it. He had to sneak T'Challa in Fantastic Four. He had to sneak T'Challa in Fantastic Four.
Hey, followers, knowing this means you're woke.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm like, bro, that is a thing. So personally, I love that idea, Shadow. But the reason you want to know the reason why I love it, I read the comic. I know that story. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So I know that you put that in the hands of a competent studio, they'll be able to play with it and run with it. Because guess what? Those games won't be open world. No, they're not. They're not going to be open world. They don't need to be. They're going to be action. They're going to probably be action adventure, probably with some RPG elements, so you can make your character get stronger, and then you go to the next one.
Yep.
Which is exactly what it's supposed to be. But you then have people who they only watch the movies or they only watch the cartoon. They have no idea what you're talking about.
And that's where the problem comes in. And
wild.
Like I get it, RJ. Like, yeah, it can be a double-edged sword, but sometimes it's a necessity.
It's a necessity.
Like,
especially now.
Really is. Yeah.
Especially now. And I'll give you a perfect example. Like, people didn't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the TV show, because they didn't like Isaiah Bradley. There's a whole comic book called Truth, Red, White, and Black.
He's the Winter Soldier.
He beat the Winter Soldier, actually. In that comic, and this is one of the few things I didn't like about the MCU when they did this, because I wanted Steve Rogers to meet Isaiah. If they would have did that, I think this whole stuff that's been happening with Anthony Mackie wouldn't have happened. Because in the comics, Captain America has not been a Boy Scout since the mid-90s, if you've been reading the comics. It started when they helped out when the Avengers helped the X-Men with Onslaught. And the American government sent Sentinels at the Avengers too. And Steve was like, what the hell y'all doing? We trying to help everybody. That was strike one. Strike two was he found out about Isaiah Bradley. Strike three was they lied to him about Bucky being alive and he was a Winter Soldier, and they knew. So by the time Civil War comes around, Captain America in the comics is like, man, the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Because they didn't turn on him too many times. So in the movies, if you watch Winter Soldier and then you watch Civil War, where was he gung-ho Boy Scout America? Never.
And so here's the other thing too, right? These same MCU followers or haters, if you will, or whatever, right? They put Punisher decals on the back of their trucks.
Yeah, not even knowing that Frank would be they'd be the first people Frank come to see.
Like that dude, he was not. He did not believe what you believed.
No,
right.
So putting that skull there is not,
because I promise you, if he was real, you'd be the first person he coming to see. And I don't think you don't want him to come see you.
Right.
So
he was an anti-hero for a reason. He was a vigilante. Yeah. Like he's not about.
Like he did kill corrupt politicians and corrupt cops.
Yep.
Like he killed them. Like
it's crazy to see that next to the stripes.
Yep.
And the Blue Lives Matter. So crazy to see that.
There was actually a comic where Punisher straight up beat up a cop because Frank beat up a cop because he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be like you." Like, no, you're not. Like, we do what you do. Because they beat down a mutant, and Frank went off.
That man came back from war and said, "This is how I feel because I've seen what really happens." So So a lot of people don't understand about Punisher either. Like it's funny seeing a lot of people do discourse where they don't understand. That's why I said some gatekeeping is needed because they're not reading this stuff, so they don't know what anybody's talking about. So what the first thing go to their mind is, oh, it's woke, it's DEI. Don't even know what woke means, by the way. And you let them take that. You let them take it.
You let them take it. So that's my soapbox. But the thing is, I think where they messed up was, we got to make this Wonder Woman game grand. No, you don't. No, you don't. You make an action game. That's what you make. You make an action game starring Diana. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking at this point, Tomb Raider without guns.
Yeah.
Like the first Tomb Raider. I mean the remake, whatever.
The remake,
the remake, the Xbox exclusive at the time.
But it doesn't need to be 50-hour game. It just needs to be between 16 and 20 hours, man. It's an action game, dude. Like I said, like Bayonetta is probably the perfect mix of what it needs to be. Is Bayonetta? She does fight kaijus. She does fight regular people too. So, and the thing is, you can actually get away with killing people because Wonder Woman don't have a rogues gallery for a reason. Her words, not mine. So you can actually make it because you got to make it mature rated because we only do mature titles.
I mean, but even if you ease people into it, right? It could just be invaders to their tribe.
To them scary, yeah. You can do that. So I mean, like, and you can actually put in some of the gods because DC does have some of the Greek gods in the Wonder Woman comics. So but my point is, you don't have to make a freaking open world game. No, you shouldn't have been thinking that big on your first game. You need to keep it within reason. Keep your budget within reason. Make some good art. Have some good art. Have a good idea. Just tell your story.
Yeah, and
then go once everybody can see how the money is coming. Then you can do Let's play around with an open world game. Then let's have some of the Justice League come in. Let's have let's have like Hawk Girl and Green Lantern show up. Let's have her do a mission with Superman and Batman or something. Have her go to Gotham for a little bit. Something. Then you could do that. But
I'll say this: if you're not good, because there's we have a following where the majority of our followers here they understand what the assignment is, right?
Right.
But people that are their mutuals are not. So if you're going to link this video, the people that are going to see it, I'll say this. We know Nintendo is the standard, right? They understand how to make it happen. Yeah. If you don't believe Nintendo is the standard, look at Astrobot. Look how they made it happen. They controlled their budget. They made a really good action adventure platformer, right? In a controllable budget. And even though they only sold 2 million copies, profits through the roof.
Yeah.
They're good with that.
Yep.
And you can iterate. You can make a sequel now, and you can do the things and do whatever. The same thing with an established property like Wonder Woman. Like,
she has her own fan base that's probably gonna buy it.
Yes, and if you make this game, like, I'm just thinking at this point, right? Make your Tomb Raider clone and just have it with Wonder Woman in it. She's getting new powers every time she goes here or there. She can traverse or whatever. She'll never hold a gun. Maybe she'll shoot an arrow, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She'll have the lasso and all that kind of stuff. And eventually you can power it up.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, have something like a skin or a cameo from Linda Carter. For however reason, that gets you your points for your fan base and all the other kind of stuff. Cut the credits. 10 hours, 12 hours maybe, or what have you, right? Mm-hmm. Then make it replayable so you could do your playthroughs, your new game plus or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. People love that game. It's an instant classic. Now you can do a sequel and make it open world. Done.
Mm-hmm. Now you can take that back to the shareholders and be like, look, y'all see the results. We need this budget.
Yeah.
And it can happen. Like, people know who DC characters are, man. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be just Batman.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you have the opportunity of, like you said, there's a fan base for Wonder Woman. You have an opportunity to not only show them love, but then to make it so widespread that other people get on board.
Yep.
Then like you said, Jay, that's when you expand it, because you got to at least get it to a point to where not only am I enticed to play the game, but then two, it's short enough to where I can complete it. And then I'm looking for more, because it's all about whetting the appetite first. Don't come and try to give me a buffet out the gate. Like, just give me one meal, and then from there we could talk about, like, okay, well, what can be done differently? Like, this is what I expect. They should stay here. That's when you really get an opportunity to play around with it. I don't know any franchise that's been around for 10 plus years and successful that started out the gate just huge like that. They started off small and then they got bigger. You don't start at the top of the mountain and then at that point you have nowhere else to go. Like what do you do then?
Because I remember, y'all remember that Spider-Man movie tie-in game they did back in 6th gen? Y'all know that's how Spider-Man's fan base gaming style started.
Yeah.
Because it was a linear game. It was
Spider-Man
small.
2 on
Spider-Man
2 and GameCube, I think.
Yeah, was after that. But like the first one, that game was 10 hours?
Yeah, it wasn't long at all.
It let you fly. It let you go around parts of New York from the movie, but that whet people's appetite. 2 was bigger. 2 was when they did all the Queens.
Yep.
They did all the Queens. They did a part. I want to say part of Manhattan, but not all of it. You know, it was some of it. It was kind of like open world ish, kind of.
Right.
And then, it kept getting bigger and bigger. But guess what? It started out small. It didn't go. Yeah, it was a movie tie-in, but dude, it didn't start out with, oh man, we'll just do severe open world, open New York, everything. We want to go to New Jersey as well. Matter of fact, I want him to be over at East Rutherford for MetLife Stadium. Yeah, I want to be over there.
And I'm not going to clown WB, right? Because them having inherent property rights is nothing to sneeze at, right?
No.
I'm looking at here now because I was just kind of wondering how it did. Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe was like, according to the time in 2009, it was the most pre-ordered Mortal Kombat game of all time then at the time.
Yeah.
So 2 million units off the bat within like a year or so or whatever is pretty good for during that time. So it's not like people didn't like those characters. There's plenty of memes of people loving to play the game with the Joker and whatnot on that platform. On 360, I think was the lead platform for that port for that game.
That one. Yeah.
So, and then of my own anecdotal experience, tens of thousands of people at a time, like per day, were playing the PS3 version of Arkham Asylum simply because you could do runs as the Joker in that version of the game. It was a DLC that was exclusive to the PS3 at the time. I think it eventually became paid on other platforms or whatnot. But you could play as a Joker in your boss rush and your whatever kind of modes you wanted to do for combat in that game online. And then you had the leaderboards and you look like so many people was on that shit.
Yeah.
So Like people wanted to play as the Joker, people wanted to play as Batman, stuff like that. Like mad people were on those games, so it's not like WB doesn't have good properties to entertain at this time,
right?
And I'm still like, where's your Tiny Toons game? Where's the Looney Tunes game? Like,
a lot of this stuff is gone to the fact of you got so many suits, and they're just looking at analytics. They don't game, so they're like, oh well, our social media and all this other stuff says that they want these, these blood filled gore. No, they don't. Like, do variety, and so for to answer your question, that may very well be,
this right here.
But here's the other problem with that. If I'm Warner Brothers, I'm sitting up here looking like, you know what? Maybe we should put it on there because we need to get some kind of return. Because according to them, they're not making no money. According to them,
right?
So some money is better than none.
But they don't agree with the NSO split, and that's
it is what it is at that point. But I mean, this is what happens when you have too many suits and not enough people at the top that actually game and actually understand the industry that they're in. Like, no disrespect to Microsoft, but when they got in and they just started handing out people blank checks, that messed it up, because then Sony thought that they could keep up with them, which Sony could never keep up with them. Because yes, while Sony was an electronics conglomerate at the time, they wasn't bringing in money like Microsoft was. Microsoft, Apple, and Google were in a league of their own. And to this day, if you add Amazon to that, they still are in a league of their own.
Yeah,
Sony was never that. They should have never did that.
Like Sony, I would say it's so different though, because like Nintendo, the business type people that they put on their board, those are the ninjas they send to sue people.
Yeah,
like, to make decisions.
You're not gonna mess with my money.
The majority of people on the board and the directors of the board, whatnot, they are people from the industry. They came up from being developers, and they're sitting within Nintendo. So like,
but like the Nintendo board, like, oh, you finna take money out of my pocket? Oh, hell no, you not. That's where that comes from.
They're taking long-term profit and not short. And if they're going to think short-term, it's from a lawsuit. So they send the business-only people to the courts.
Them. Yeah. But if you do that with Sony, take some Sony music, see what happened to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I dare you to take some Sony music. I dare you to say
those same people are on Sony's board. So then they...
But no, I'm talking about like the fan base that love to complain about people getting sued and how dare you sue them, they fans.
Oh, yeah.
Sony does that all the time. Take some of Sony music and put it in your video claiming that you a fan and see what happens.
Do a cover and see how long that gets you.
I've seen Twisted Metal and play the original song.
If any of that music hits that is that that number one, your video gonna be down within the hour. Your video will be down. If you still try to fight it, they may send you a cease and desist. Notice I said may. If you try to take it to somewhere else, they gonna find you there too. And if you still can't get it through your thick skull, you're gonna get that subpoena.
I don't know if Lex saw my video. It's almost like he's replying as if he saw my video. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I see two C's. I'm gonna say Lex. He said Phil Spencer said he's going to add MS board into Nintendo's company, right? So I did a video about that, right?
And that was years ago.
That was a dream, but you should be terrified that he was candid enough to say what he was saying, because basically they have been trying to do that for the longest time.
Because they tried to do remember that I know Bill Gates tried to say that it didn't happen. Remember back in 99, 2000, they tried to buy back when they bought Rare, they tried to buy Nintendo and they got laughed out of Tokyo.
Yeah, they got laughed out of Tokyo.
Yeah, like they didn't try that before. Like, I don't know how you're gonna do a hostile takeover on Nintendo, because they don't play that. They just don't play that.
Yamauchi is like, even though y'all have more market cap than me, right? I have enough cash in my pocket that's real money to buy everywhere where y'all live.
Yeah.
Like, so he's like, I'm not even playing this game with y'all. The answer is no. Like, that's kind of like, he got that old. There's a song in Southeast United States called "I Got Those Old Hundreds."
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if you got those stanky old hundreds, like you got old money, like you're not even worried about this new stock market and bro. He said I got old Benjamins in my mattress. Like I don't need what you talking about right now. Like I could buy where you live at right now, and that's kind of how you look at the whole Microsoft thing. Like nah, man.
And Shadow, I know how you've been going back and forth with certain people about the whole Wii U situation. That's why I be laughing because I'm like, bro, they had $12 billion in the bank in cash. The reason why third parties were mad because they wasn't giving it to them. They wasn't there, and they weren't going to. But they was used to Microsoft just handing them, say, hey, just whatever you want, just put the game first. So, and Nintendo like, no. So
can I make my declaration right now? Right? Can I do this? So look, right. Was the Wii U a bad scenario? Yes.
Yes.
Did Nintendo sell significantly less Wii U's than they probably wanted to sell? Yes. Did Nintendo still make money off Wii U?
Yes.
Hell yes. That's not even counting Amiibo.
No.
Like
that's not even counting.
Talking about.
That's not even counting 3DS. There was no company named Nintendo 3DS. It was all Nintendo.
It's all Nintendo.
So Amiibo, 3DS, and Wii U, all they were making profit.
Just counting Wii U, right? Ooh, we didn't do that good in 2013 because, oh my God, like we had no games and third party bailed out. So there are literally no releases, right?
Yeah.
Even if only 2 Wii U sold that year, they were going to buy at least one game, right? If they bought one game, that Wii U made profit.
Yep.
Even then.
And that's what happened.
Yes. So I'm like, FY 2014 was the only year they lost money with Wii U being their platform.
And they still had $9 billion in the bank in cash that year.
On top of that. So they spent however many billion or whatever to pay for the ambassador program. And because they did a price cut that the following year for 2013, because they needed to drop the price before the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, right? And they dropped the price $50 effectively because they gave you a game with Wii U, and they gave you the digital deluxe version instead of $350. They dropped it to $300. And if you could find the 8 gigabyte Wii U that was white, good luck because they were going to take that off the market, right?
Yeah.
So that was the thing that they did, and that was the money that they lost to make up for whatever Wii U did. And they spent a hell of a lot of money to make up for whatever 3DS did, because 3DS did the same thing they did with Wii U. They trusted third party.
And they should not have done that.
And they shouldn't have done it. And even though like Capcom showed up, you got Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS. I don't know why it never made it to another Nintendo home console since then. But
Jim Ryan.
and Dead or Alive too. Like they never made it to a Nintendo home console. What are we doing?
Sean Layden.
Like these games came to 3DS and didn't come to Wii U, or Switch.
Crazy.
Soul Calibur.
Yeah. But then after that first year of 3DS, is 2010, 2011 or whatever.
Yeah, 2011.
Nothing. So Nintendo's like, I gotta put it on my back. Here's Mario 3D Land. Here's Mario Kart 7.
Here's Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
They did Ocarina of Time that year.
So they had to start doing stuff to make it happen. Then Smash eventually came out, and that was great for both platforms. And like on Nintendo statements, they made heavy profit on Wii U and 3DS because of Smash, because of Mario Kart 8, because of Mario Kart 7, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Like I should not need to say this because it's blatantly obvious, and even if it's not blatantly obvious, you can look at the financial statements themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo with 3DS and Wii U were not an L at the end of the day.
Nope.
So I don't know why anybody thought that either one of those platforms were about to bankrupt Nintendo in any way, shape, or form, especially when they had cash on hand.
Because that's what they were fed. Remember, IGN and Game Trailers kept feeding it. They kept feeding. Michael Pachter made it his mission every year to say they was going to third party.
They wanted them to be third party.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because I'm like, bruh, you do realize their games work for their systems that they create. It ain't gonna be the same if you just plop it on PC or plop it on
then the magic goes away.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. And on top of that, the way half of these people talk, like you wouldn't play it no way.
Right.
Yep. So why do you care? No, I just want them to get better. Get better. What is better?
Get better how?
Yeah, like
make the game more fun because
the game's already fun. So what are you talking about? Well, no, the gameplay is perfect. What are you talking about?
You can't say it's not complete.
They don't know.
We downloading games now, even though we get a full disc that's bigger than what's on the cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
So you a godsend because I can't do it. But
yeah, you better than me, because even like a point that Lek just brought up with the whole Steam Deck situation, like me and Shadow have both said, like, because we both own one, it's cool, but it was never going to do crazy numbers, and you can come up with every excuse in the book of Steam only sold
day one original case. My bad.
Like they only sold on Steam, so that's why. But Steam is a big platform.
Yeah, Steam platform is not small.
No, and then people forget, like, you can buy Steam Decks in GameStop. Like, it wasn't like it was only like for a minute. Yes, I was like, even for a minute, it was only on Steam. I said, but now you can buy it in retail stores. The same thing with the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, the MSI Claw, all of them. And so for them to be combined at 6 million, that's what. And the crazy part about it is that's not even taking into account the sales of like the Korean PC handhelds. Yeah, I know they're not selling anything crazy.
That's taking into account the PC Win, which had been doing it before any of them.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The moral of the story, kids, don't try Nintendo in the handheld space.
Please don't.
Just don't.
Because I will say this though, even if Nintendo wasn't in this space, that PC crowd was not going to eat this.
No, they weren't going to do this.
Because if you think about, listen to the PC crowd. The PC crowd is like graphics. We need more power. These handhelds is not giving you that. They don't care about portability like that. Like they want the
battery.
biggest.
The battery ain't gonna last.
No.
Please tell me why I shut this down, right? But before I put it in the case, and battery still dead.
Yeah,
it's only been in here for 2 weeks. I don't.
ROG Ally the same way. ROG Ally the same way.
Dark Void.
No,
I don't know. But the thing is, the 128s are cheap now. They are cheaper now. The 128 gig cartridges are cheap. So they maybe if they've made a deal with a manufacturer, probably. Because at this point, we'll put it like this: to buy the full Call of Duty game, you got to have 310 gigs.
That's disgusting.
Yep,
but that's the truth. So I would think like the 258 can kind of be expensive depending on who you get it from. But
it should be 256, but I guess it's a typo.
Yeah, well, the 128s, I mean, they're cheap now. They're like what? They're what 50? They can get them for like $20 now, right? The 128 carts, you can get them for like $20. So, and I'm pretty sure any manufacturer, if Nintendo go to them, they'll be like, "Yeah, we'll cut you a deal. How much you need to bulk?"
Situation. Yeah, and I think something that was very important too. I heard about a lot of this stuff too. Is you can go, but if you're not like an established developer, they won't allow you to get it up front. Like you got to come cash in hand to where, like, let's say a Nintendo, they'll give it to you just off of principle, like knowing that who you are. So it's that's tough. And then Night Wolf, that's an interesting thing too. You look at how big that Steam Deck is. What Shadow just mentioned, that Win 4, the Win 4 right now is the size of a PS Vita, and it has more power than that Steam Deck.
Yep.
With a slide up screen with a keyboard on it. Like that's
Moore's law is this, right? Like it's a thing. Like you expect the exponential thing, right? Every two years or so, as you do a size decrease by nanometers per wafer, right? So you're getting the same performance, but at a much lower power envelope. So what took you 200 watts to do something 4 years ago now takes you 30.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're trying to do and what your target is, right? And Nintendo is like, it looks like now they are establishing the power thing, because they were talking about, hey, this new platform is going to go up to 65 watts. Oh, that's Wii U levels of cranking up the clock. So, and if that's the case, then we're going to see stuff that we're not expecting, because Switch never went above, in my experience from my testing, 19 watts at the most. And that's counting the Switch isn't fully charged and you're playing a game docked, right? a game that's docked and it requires a lot of power from the platform. We're talking 19 watts max. Like you're charging it and you're playing the game and the fans are going. 19 watts. And
so you're saying
Switch 2 is like 65.
So what you're telling me is Nintendo Land 2.
Yes.
It can be done, sir. It can be done.
All right. So before we get out of here, we are going to take a look at that Xenoblade Chronicles X trailer. Y'all ready?
Yeah, I'm about to say this is my first time seeing it. So
so you about to see greatness.
I've seen it and I'm not ready. I'm not ready for don't do it. I'm not ready.
You'll be fine. You'll be just fine.
Releasing hatch. Please stand clear.
Pro and ball-headed hair thing this time.
Hey there. Looks like you're all in one piece. You don't even remember your own name?
Nope.
Rescued from your stasis pod, you are one of the few surviving members of humanity.
Roots color? Okay. So we doing tips? Like what are we doing?
You said we doing tips.
We doing tips out here. You doing multi-layered color hair? Like it's like Destiny 2.
A casualty of an intergalactic war between alien races, Earth has been annihilated. In search of a new home, the remnants of humanity crash land on a mysterious planet known as Mira.
So I need to play Monster Hunter Wilds, right?
Why?
This is gonna
why? Yeah, why? Not with this coming out. I ain't even lying to myself.
Monster Hunter Wilds has a bad reputation, and I just want to play it just because it has a bad reputation. And I want to see what. Oh my god!
I remember that boss fight.
It's just, and they're gonna add new stuff. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
I know.
To ensure humanity's survival.
Oh my god!
Welcome to New Los Angeles.
I don't want to have to hit pause.
The remains of the ship and your base of operations. The city is divided into districts, including commercial, industrial, and residential. It's also
Nintendo Live
home
Chronicle
to all
did
kinds
6
of
frames per
people.
second. Man, get out of here. It's 1080p.
Yeah, it's 1080p. I don't
You
need
can
this to be in
obtain
60
protective
frames.
gear and powerful weapons that'll aid your exploration.
I love this fight.
The planet
I hate that fight.
might not
I really hate that fight.
Telethia, anything is not good.
in battle.
Oh,
You'll
wow.
strike with normal
They
attacks,
gave you a soft
as well as
Telethia in the
special
middle of the
moves
game, and
called
it still
arts.
works.
Yeah.
It is not the Endbringer at all.
Nope.
When allies call out to you in the heat of battle,
I never beat Telethia, by
use
the
a
way.
corresponding art that
Man,
matches their
it's so
call
fun,
to
though.
support one another.
Like your scale doesn't survive usually. Usually you end up falling to the ground. But the same is true with farces also. Like usually you don't survive farces either.
Overdrive,
No.
The scales are dead.
allowing you to dish out multiple arts in a row to deal massive damage.
Even with overdrive.
And yeah, Triple M said the game is not like a fast Switch game. It's 30 FPS. I mean, yeah, because it's an RPG, right? And but it feels like it.
Once you obtain a license, you can use.
If you miss putting in something that you need to put in, like
developed by humanity.
you need infinite overdrive for a lot of these bosses, and if you don't do what you need to do at the right time, and overdrive ends, you're dead.
Especially Calderos.
Yeah.
Tyrants.
Weapon in combat.
You say I could barely beat Telethia with my maxed out Ares 90. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even try. I just
I like that.
get out of my Ares and do infinite overdrive on the ground once I got them targeted.
It look like we get some new scales too, man.
Yeah, that guy right there. I want to know what that is.
Yeah, because that
That's
was
supposed to be the
that.
new
Crazy.
companion for the DLC.
Yeah, and I'm getting that scale.
Yeah,
The residents
Yeah, that
of
looks
New
cool.
Los Angeles will seek your help with various requests.
Because they let me get a samurai sword, it's on the popping.
so Anil kind of stole my glory here, and he kind of said the thing that I was already thinking.
What's that?
Because he's a big Xeno Saga fan, so he saw like
Once again,
when this
she lent me her
cuts,
strength.
he's like, "Oh, They turning people to sand. That's gnosis. I'm like,
Yep.
new allies.
Gnosis.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
Excellent.
but
Let us set out.
he kind of took it away from me. He did a whole video
Plus,
on it. And
you can hop online to team up with other
pretty good,
players
so check it
near and far.
I wonder if they're going to actually try to get the
Up to 32
Xenosaga
players
trilogy
can
and put
join
it
the
on.
squad, in which you'll work together to
I
complete
think so
tasks
because
such as
Bandai
collecting a
Namco
certain number of
posted
items
about Xenosaga
or
recently.
felling specific
Okay.
enemies.
I think they're doing it.
Your individual
They should.
contributions will count
Or at
towards the
least do a
squad's
remaster.
goals.
Yeah,
remake.
like
Also,
like
up to
if
4
you're
squad members
you're going
can
out
team
of
up
your
in
way
online
to
co-op
acknowledge
to face off against powerful
Telos
foes.
and your girlfriend that
Can't
eludes
get.
you.
Yeah.
Memories of blight, a great cancer festering.
They
on
posted
the
about them both, because they sisters or whatever. But they posted, and I'm like, why are they doing this in the middle of this game getting ready to launch? But I think they have something
Survival
planned.
as a species hinges on your efforts. Elma, we need your help. Please save us.
We threatened them. We didn't blow up their planet.
Our people don't have any reason to fight each other.
I swear to God, if at the end of this DLC Cosmo shows up, I don't know how I'm gonna react. I might have to do a pop-off video.
Enough of the pain you've caused the universe. The only
She's a new character too.
would be suffering you any longer.
And I think it's integrated into the game. It's not because it's not a separate. It's not
Definitive
separate.
Edition game.
Yeah.
Available March 20th on the Nintendo Switch system.
Spoilers
Pre-orders
to
are
people who
available
haven't
now
played the
on
game for 10
Nintendo
years ago.
eShop.
Yeah.
There's DLC built
Plus,
into this game.
A brand new
So,
story has
You
been
get
added.
extra stuff after you beat the game.
Disappeared? What do you mean? What do we know about
Matter of fact, the Telethia fight is best done after you beat the game.
Yes. Because you need way more stuff to. Like, who is that, bro? Like,
Yeah.
The ghosts around
And why is Lau still alive?
yes.
the dots all joined.
He brought him back. Well, I thought that was done, man, walking up to him, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole other
How
story.
much
Yeah.
longer do we gotta keep fighting?
Yo,
All right.
this game has me conflicted. This is literally 2 weeks before that direct.
Mhm.
Like, it's gotta be like
Peak fiction.
Yeah. So here's my thing, because the only thing, and I've said this before in the podcast, the only thing I'm worried about is, especially after me playing through that 14101 Switch game, and I was like, the superior version is the Wii U version. I'm interested in seeing how we're gonna do this map, because if I had to keep pressing the plus thing over and over and over again, I'm gonna get upset.
right.
I'm just gonna get upset. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to playing the definitive edition, just because I got to give Monolith Soft props. Every definitive edition they've done and every DLC they've done, they've made better than the game before.
Right.
Like Torn of the Golden Country, that gameplay, if they could have put that gameplay in the Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I would have preferred that over what we got in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles
so
3,
fucking good. Oh my god,
the
it's so
Future
good.
Redeemed. The Future Redeemed gameplay was better than the three.
And I think the level cap is like 40 or something. Like,
yeah, it's 40.
it's so good.
Yeah, you don't need to go over there. You can take it down because there is a super boss in Torna that's 99. You can take that mug out.
Wow.
And then Future Redeemed also. Oh my god, I'm doing punches and combo. Like, oh my god,
Yeah,
so good.
They do a better job. So I'm wondering what all tweak. I saw a couple of the tweaks they made to the gameplay. Like they do a better job of showing you what matches up for your combo. And I'm glad they did that. I know some people be like, man, that's hand holding. Nah, because when you 40 hours into this game, you're gonna forget a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
You just are. So because you got so much information that's coming in, and by the time you get to some of those tyrant fights that you have to do, not ones that you walk up on, that you actually have to do, especially like the one in Civilum where you have to fight the Rothian. That's thing,
rough.
Yeah,
And you need that because you have to help those people, right? So you got to go through that fight. And now you're at a disadvantage. I'll say that, right?
Yeah.
Like because
That's
you're
saying it
lacking a thing that the other person has. Yeah.
So that fight in and of itself is going to be probably a little bit more manageable, just because they're showing you what you need to do to get your combo, your overdrive going properly. And that's what, like I said, the quality of life improvements have been there in every definitive edition game, as well as their DLC expansions. So they've done a good job of doing that. That's why I think it's gonna be a great, especially if you didn't play it on the Wii U, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So you're probably gonna be fine. But
I just think, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think people should go ahead. Till we gatekeep. I look. I just feel like if you have not gone through the burning sands of playing through this game on Wii U, like before getting to Overdrive, you had to abuse certain properties of using a burn technique to abuse characteristics of characters because you don't have Overdrive yet, right?
Yeah.
So you have an ultimate technique you could use that puts burn on characters indefinitely, and it causes, basically permanent damage.
But it don't work on everybody though. That's the problem.
Yeah, it don't work on everybody. But when you find somebody that's affected by it, you gotta abuse it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing, like, because before that you get reflect and anti-reflect abilities, right? And you need to abuse that burn feature well into past Civilum to be able to get far in the game. And I think this game is probably going to neuter a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
as it should, because some of that, look, to be fair, some of that stuff in the Wii U version, like some people found ways to get around stuff, but I'm like, the stuff you had to do that is, some of that stuff was ridiculous. And
like the overdrive counter is 25 seconds now instead of 15. Yeah. So like you already start off like, hey, I could build infinite overdrive pretty quick. Like me, I like 15 seconds, bro. That's a big difference. That's a big difference because like, that inner overdrive ends, and now what? Like now you need TP and you don't have it, and you got to start all over again.
Like I was playing it earlier today, and I was in chapter 6, and I had to do the Tainted Sphinx fight.
Yep.
I could only fire off my overdrive like twice because I only had like 15 seconds, so I had to make sure I had stuff open so I could actually do it.
To build TP,
But if they're gonna let me have 25 seconds, oh boy, it's on the popping now.
So it's in your best interest early on to find a class that has either rifle or pistols, right? And the reason why that is because using an ability with a ranged art builds TP really fast. So you want that to be added to whatever class that you're going to build into, so you can add that on top of the class that you're building, and then you be able to build TP so you can have infinite overdrive as you're building TP for that class.
Right.
And I don't know how else to explain that to people. Like, Anil makes a lot of really good videos on this, but his videos break the game. So maybe don't watch all his videos, just watch some of them. Because I watch some of them and I'm like, if somebody's just coming into Xenoblade watching this, they're gonna hate you because like they could break the game really early and that's not good. Like, and I've seen videos of people that they just bought the game or whatever, and they watch only Anil videos. They have Celica and they're killing everybody in the game at level 1, and that's not good.
Well, the problem with that is that you can't do that until you run into immovable, or you run into what's the guy in Oblivion? He's like level 95, the one that keeps running around there. I can't remember his name, but you run into somebody. If a tyrant got a name and it's purple,
just go the other way. Somebody shouted out Fernando the immovable, and I'm like, if you're a semi in anything in these games, like. Yeah, you run from them initially, but like within like
once you get your level up,
30 hours, like they're mixed meat to you.
Yeah, once you get your level up, what was all that stuff you were talking?
You want to run right back to them so you can tell them what you learned.
Yeah,
and that's
I mean, that's what happened in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because you mess around and run into Rothbart in Gormont, and you accidentally run into him and he steps on you. I go back after I fight that dinosaur, and I'm like, what was you saying,
bro? You can highlight Wister's post here, and I'm the king of this one right here. So like, you can get anti-reflect mods, but you literally have to be level 60 before you get any of them. Yeah. So you go back to him with those, and you can fight him on foot if you want to. It costs more money to put that stuff on your scale. So you could do it. You can fight him in the scale if you want to. Or you can one-shot him if you have enough time. If you have the ultimate weapon on your level 60 scale before it even becomes an Ares, and you can one-shot him. But The best thing to do is just infinite overdrive with your character on foot.
Yeah,
and you can do that with anti-reflect, and you're good.
I beat him on the scale. In my scale, I've never beaten him on foot. But
Yeah,
that's because I didn't have the anti-reflex.
Yeah,
stuff.
I see. Y'all better than me on that one.
It feels so good.
but once again, the first time I ran into him, I was doing a side quest, and you have to go in that water to complete the side quest. You just can't go near him. I was trying to swim near him because I was running from something else.
Yep.
So when I was running from something else, he ran me right into him. Like, y'all, this is not right. This ain't fair. I hate all y'all, and then I died.
And so the name of the enemy is Gora, the Eternal or something like that. The Guardian Deity, I think is the name of it. Gora, the Guardian Deity. Like, go nowhere near that thing. Yeah. You're walking and you're exploring, and then you're walking up this big old hill on the left hand side of you, and you see this thing in the middle of the water, and you're like, "What's that big old thing in the middle of the water?" Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there.
Don't, you're not ready yet. If you go there and because you're curious, you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
So I will tell that to people playing DE. Yeah, don't go there. Even in DE, you're not gonna be ready.
No,
I'm looking at them now because I never got that far. But geez, this thing was crazy.
Yeah. But there is a quest that you have to do. You're gonna have to go buy them.
Yep.
Because the quest is actually in the water.
Right.
The thing you got to get, and like, so you just can't go near them. If you don't go near them, you're fine. But the problem with me was I ran into one of those what is it, duo gills or what, the electric like fish eel manta ray looking thing.
Yep.
And he ran me into him.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
and that's the way to do it to it, because they instantly have aggro. Like any tyrant has instant aggro. Like so if anything gets attacked next to it, like it's instant aggro, and here they come, and they're part of the party, and you getting roasted.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You just learn. I got killed by it. Let me go look at the stats of what just killed me, because now I have data.
That is the good thing about XCX. I will say, if you do run into a tyrant, it does display all its data, so you're gonna die, but it does display all this data. You don't have to worry about going back and worry about, okay, did I get the data? Now they don't give you the data. You're just gonna be dead.
But the fact that this person I'm watching now is beating it on foot.
Yeah. That's literally what I was talking about. Like, honestly, to me, it was easier for me to beat it on foot than with a mech, because the first time that you try it with a level 60 mech, you're still gonna die because you don't have enough anti-reflect on every part. Yeah. But you can get anti-reflect on every part as a human much easier and much faster.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
and you
even
can
on
get that
Ares, like it costs a lot to go find all that stuff.
Because the anti-reflect, you can get that up to what, level 10, right?
You can get anti-reflect 20 as a character. You can get that on all of your stuff like pretty easily.
Yeah. So
but for a scale, you gotta go hunt for that.
Yeah. They're gonna make you hunt. It's gonna be, you gotta go to basically doggone to every continent.
Yeah.
To get the stuff for it. And then on top of that, you got to keep doing it over and over, especially if you have multiple. I always have like two scales. I have my medium one and I have my fast one. So
and it's almost not worth it. So like the first time I beat him, I cheated, right? This is what I did. So you get a super weapon after a certain part in the story, right? You get a super weapon that you can equip to your scale, right? As the main character in your party. So what I did was I built up level 60 scales for the other three characters in my party. I had them fight the thing, right? And he was working them and getting ready to kill them and whatnot. As he was killing them, I'm powering up my super weapon to get ready to one-shot him. And then I one-shot him. And then I was able to get whatever I needed off of him or whatever. I was not going to win that fight with him with the level 60 scale that I had then at the time. I was not going to be able to one-shot him with the Ares 90 at the time, because my Ares 90 did not have the anti-reflex stuff to be able to withstand hits from him. Because you hit him and then he reflex, and then that reflect damage. Are you able to withstand that? Nah,
you're not.
So it's just one of those things. And the only thing you could do is like, and I don't think there's anything that one character doesn't reflect. So you literally have to have anti-reflex stuff equipped to be able to beat him. So and it's just that one battle that's like that. Even Telethia doesn't have its weakness is ether. So you can at least beat it with ether stuff. Everything else it reflects. But that thing, it reflects ether too. You need anti-reflect to beat them.
Crazy.
Yeah. So just be careful when you play this game, especially if you have not played it before, because you will walk into a tyrant. You're gonna walk into a tyrant as soon as you.
Oh yeah.
Your first couple of missions, because the one of the main tyrants in the first continent is that damn cicada that's level 30.
I'm so hyped talking about this, man. I'm so glad that people will be able to play this game like new for the first time, but then I'm kind of like at the same time too, I'm going through this for the second time, and I'm like, oh god, this is gonna hurt because I know I gotta. You can't bring your save over. So,
this is gonna be one of those situations where that's why I'm going back through it on the Wii U so I can remember where everything is, so I can just hopefully that'll help me cut down on time. Hopefully, because I usually go Samurai Gunner first anyway. I level that one all the way out, and then I go Full Metal Jaguar, and then I go Duelist. So that's usually what I try to do class wise.
That's good advice. I don't know if we talked about that on the video or not, but I think like people need to know like max all of the classes as early as you can. Like go and try to learn every class and max them all, because once you max one, you can learn any of the other classes that are maxed.
Yeah, and understand that you're gonna have to spend some time grinding. This is not a game where you're not gonna be you don't have to grind. You're gonna have to grind because you're not fighting nothing 10 levels above you and thinking you're gonna win. 5, you may be able to pull it off, but 10, this ain't Tales. This ain't Final Fantasy. You gonna have to humble yourself a little bit. So, and on top of that, once again, depending on where you're fighting, if you know where the tyrant is, you might want to avoid that place because that tyrant will jump out in the middle of your fight.
And if you're fighting like nearby and it either is triggered by either vibrations
or
sound, or what, they'll show up.
Weather, they will show up because that cicada comes out when it rains too. So it will, like, there are quests that you get, whether it's gathering or bounty hunter or whatever. You have to be careful and pay attention to what time it says on there, because especially if it has a time on there, like it says go at night, that's because the tyrant's going to show up in the daytime. So do it at night. so
yeah. And I'll say this, I'll go ahead and give a cheat code, right? So there's a giant floating island just outside of New LA, right? There's a giant floating island. Everybody sees it because it's a giant floating thing. It looks like a claw in the middle of the sky. Go ahead and go there the moment you have the super weapon with your scale, because you can one-shot that one enemy and collect stuff from it and go from there.
Yeah.
Do not try to fight that tyrant straight up. You won't be able to do it. You need to be able to one-shot it with your super weapon, and you will not be able to fight that tyrant. The first time you're able to fight that tyrant and kill it legitimately without one-shotting it is on foot, unfortunately. Because you need to infinite overdrive it to kill it, and then you'll be able to get materials from it that you'll be able to build a scale that's able to withstand that. So, I will say that. It's a bunch of stuff that happens like that, too. So you'll come across a tyrant and you're like, oh, I could one-shot it. Oh, yeah, but can you have a real fight with it? No, you can't. You got to, like, build enough defense with the rest of your party to be able to build that stuff up. Build your scales up, build your on-foot party well enough to be able to withstand whatever it can do. So,
and I'll go on and say this too. I do plan on doing the online stuff with peeps, so I will be doing that via Discord. So if you ever want to jump online and run, like on the Wii U version, there were missions you could do online and bring it to your single player game. Like some of the stuff, and you needed to do some of that stuff to get some of those reflects and some of those upper augments. So I will be doing that with people. And setting that up on the Discord. So if anybody that's getting Xenoblade Chronicles X, let me know, and I will run them on Saturday with you. So Saturdays will be the days that I'll run those. So that way we can jump out, do some missions together and all that good stuff. Because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm going back out to Telethia, but this time I'm coming with a crew. I'm not doing this by myself. I tried to do it by myself 3 times. I couldn't beat her. I want to.
I jump in there with you, so we can go ahead and get all them parts off of them, because you got to destroy all the appendages and whatnot.
You got to destroy all of them. So I think last time I got like half of them done, but I just wasn't good enough. Like my Ares, I couldn't do it by myself. So I'm gonna go in there with a team. I'm just gonna go and say that right now. We, in the words of Honcho, who does the solo level and stuff, we jumping them.
Yep, you gotta jump them.
We jumping them.
And then you get enough tickets and you can buy enough equipment or whatever you need, and then you can solo all that stuff on foot if you want to.
Like I said, I'm jumping them. I'm not even playing fair no more. We jumping them.
Without tickets, you can never solo Far Sister Ever Queen.
No,
which is
you can't.
That's an awesome battle. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go into Civilum, there's a giant ball that you can't avoid looking at. Inside of that ball is a battle for the ages.
Yep.
And if you go in there and you fight that thing, like it's like a 20-minute fight.
Yeah,
that's if you're ready.
Yeah, I think the first time I beat it, it was 35 minutes.
Yeah,
I remember that because my hands was hurting. I'm like, dude, what the hell? But yeah, because I didn't know about the tickets thing at the time. I was just trying to do this off overdrive. Yeah, big mistake. But yeah, it is what it is.
Xenoblade Chronicles X is like that should have been Game of the Year that year in 2015.
The Keeley Awards will never let Xenoblade anything become Game of the Year. Just know that. But all right, peeps, that's gonna do it for this show. We kind of went way over time that I normally want to do. But Jack, anything you want to pimp out?
Nah, man. Just continue to follow, like, subscribe to everybody that's a part of this channel. A part of this whole thing that we got going on. So yeah, that's about it, man.
All right, Shadow.
Same. When the Shadowcast comment comes, per the Spawncast channel now. So yeah, whenever it happens, it happens. If you follow me on socials, you'll see whenever I post, and then we'll go from there. I'll either post a video or do a live stream. You can tune in, and we'll go from there. So support me on Twitch, I guess it is. But you go on there, and it sends you to another link to support the channel. Do however you need to do, whatever. I'm not going to social intelligence. You know how the internet works. So do you play games, have fun to impress other people? That's what I'll put out.
All right. And that's going to do it for this episode. I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow because I'm going to be out of town the rest of the week. So I'll probably do a live stream. Don't know what yet, but just tune in and we'll find out. So see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Thanks everybody in the chat. We'll see you later. Peace out, peeps.
Peace.
Later, y'all.